Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
We're gonna get a little bit crazy, wild and maybe even vulgar, if you please. It's after dark and we're gonna light it up. Got some fun in store for you, no tease. It's time for Midnight Sesh After Dark. A little naughty, will hopefully make you chuckle, but we ain't trying to hurt nobody. So get ready quick on the double, cause it's time for Midnight Sesh After Dark.
Tonight, Jason's getting his own universe. A Married with Children animated show. Bad Boys trailer and more.
After Dark.
Welcome everybody to the program. Boys and girls, dogs and cats. Everybody. Welcome. It is Thursday night. We have Clobbering Times with us. How you doing?
Hey there. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, my friends on the panel and friends in the chat. Let's have some Thursday night fun.
Let's. We also have with us Nick Weiser. How you doing?
Hello, Tom. Good to hang out with you and the dudes on the panel. Hello, chat and wrenches. Yeah, we got some very interesting subjects to talk about, and I'm looking forward to doing just that. Thanks for having me.
Indeed, do. We're glad to have you here. We also have CC Karaoke. How you doing?
Doing all right. Glad to be here as always. Spent the last couple days watching Married with Children. So
Odd.
Cool.
Did you watch the episode with Anthrax in it?
Not yet. No.
Oh, dude. I may be biased, no conflict of interest, just saying, but it might be one of the greatest episodes of all time. If anyone in the chat's a Married with Children fan, haven't watched the episode of Anthrax, fix your life tonight. And then you can thank me later saying, Nick, you were right. And I'll be like, you're welcome.
Indeed. Also joining us, we have the Script Doctor. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's we got some great weather where I am, so it's time to bust out the shorts.
So in Canada, that means the sun came out.
That's right. We got sun for about 32 minutes, and it was beautiful.
That warmed things up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, welcome to the program. We're glad to have you here.
Oh yeah, always.
Well. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about. Sony is desperate to promote Bad Boys. So we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. And we just got a word, and this just come across a little bit ago. Another I Know What You Did Last Summer film with Hewitt and Prinze Jr. is in the works. Like anybody gives a shit.
Huh?
I Know What You Did the summer before last.
Yeah, I Know What You Did 30 years ago is what it should be called. Because that's about where they're at now.
Old saggy skin version.
Yeah, but I guess it's supposed to be hitting theaters July 18th, 2025. So mark your calendars. This shit's going up against Superman, kids.
Wow.
Paramount is really, or Sony, I think, would be releasing that.
It's Sony, so it's counter programming. I mean,
counter programming, yeah.
Not bad. I mean, for horror against superhero stuff, that
I wouldn't open something like that up against fucking Superman, though.
I get that. Maybe like the week after or a week before, maybe
Yeah.
just to kind of fill the. But to go head to head, that seems a little desperate. I think.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about horror because that's on the docket tonight.
Yeah, a lot
And
of
I just
interesting
saw
news.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of Sony, though, let's start with this Bad Boys trailer because I thought this was hilarious that Mr. H actually got an email during the stream where Sony was practically begging him to promote the trailer for Bad Boys
What?
Ride or Die.
Really?
No.
Yeah, so they really wanted him to show it. He wouldn't show it. And I'm like, just show
Wow.
it. I'm like,
Oh,
whatever. Anyway, so there's some things about this I have to say. So let's start here just because I want to. And I think this is probably gonna have some of the least interest as people pile
didn't they
in.
just have one of these recently?
Well, this
Yeah,
is
the third one in 2020.
yeah, so this is
No,
the
no,
fourth
no, I'm
film,
talking about a
second
trailer.
trailer. Yeah, this is the second
Oh,
trailer.
trailer.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a brand new
So must have
trailer
not
just
gone
dropped
over
today because the
well.
movie comes out in 2 weeks or 3 weeks,
Mm.
roughly. The 7th of June, I think it is. So here's the new trailer for Bad Boys Ride or Die. I don't know if you guys noticed the same thing I do or not. So I'm gonna roll around before I get into my thoughts. Script. What's your thoughts on it so far?
A little
Or-
funnier than some of the previous Bad Boy trailers usually get. It's a bit more. I like that. Martin Lawrence really does starting to look his age, man. That's something there. Yeah, I would say it's unfortunate they're releasing it for the summer. It should have been out earlier.
Or later, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's gonna get some attention. As I was watching this, all I was thinking about is how in 5 or 10 years we're going to get a hour-long procedural called Bad Boys, which is going to be a
Mm.
remake of this because it's
Lord.
got its TV style to it now.
Well, we already had a TV spinoff that failed, didn't we? That one chick
Yeah, I
cop
think
show.
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, from
There was something like that. I can't remember what the exact name, but Tom, you're right. There was something like that. I
yeah,
didn't
there
even
was a
bother to
character.
watch
I can't
that.
remember. I can't remember if she's from part 2 or part 3. That was a spinoff. And some of those characters in part 3 almost felt like they were being set up for a spinoff too.
So this is the fourth Bad Boys?
Yes, this would be the
Okay.
fourth film.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the third one was Bad Boys for Life. That was released in
That came
January
out just as
2020.
everything shut down, and that was the biggest movie of 2020. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and luckily it had 2 months to actually do pretty well, and people did like it. I was one of them. I actually saw it and ended up enjoying it.
Yeah, I honestly wonder if Sonic hadn't come out when it did, if the movie hadn't done better, or Sonic had come out a little sooner, if Sonic wouldn't have made more money. But that being said, CC, what did you feel about the trailer?
It's a simple premise, and it just needs to execute on the action scenes, right? It just needs to be a good, fun ride, not getting complicated with the message. And this trailer felt a little bit like it was moving more in the right direction versus the first trailer. Not that I'm expecting it to be bogged down. I've noticed that a little bit lately too, with like the writers. Sometimes they try to get a little like the really smart ones can get crafty with, like, the movie might have to have certain things in it, but they'll work their way around it, like that the gator is racist line. That was good. I like that, and they don't really have to fill the quota because they've already got, 2 black leads, frankly. So I'm just hoping that it's good action with some good one-liners, that'll satisfy me.
Yeah, evidently the show was called LA's Finest, and it was with Gabriel Union's character, and Jessica Alba was in it too. It looks
Oh
like.
man, I had no idea.
Lasted 2 seasons. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it was. That was the show anyway. Yeah, I remember that came out. I didn't even know it got 2 seasons. Anyhow, so yeah, anything more to say on it, CC, or is that pretty much sum up
No,
your
but
thoughts?
I think Script Doctor's probably right. I mean, it's asking for a TV version to come out eventually. We'll get something.
Bad Boys universe. You heard it here first.
It'll combine with the Jason verse. Uh,
Yeah, there
Bad
you go.
boys are taken to Camp Crystal Lake to investigate a series of murders.
Oh,
There you go.
you
Martin
see this
Lawrence's
big hockey
granddaughter has-
mask wearing motherfucker?
Yeah, Martin Lawrence's granddaughter has gone missing, and she might be held hostage by the known serial killer named Jason Voorhees.
Mike, I think this might be the guy. Anyway, yeah.
Where
no,
did she see something?
yeah. So, what did you think, Nick? Anything else you want to say about it?
You know, it's not a bad trailer. I'd say it's a lot better than the last one. And even though Michael Lawrence is the exception to Black Don't Crack, as far as his jokes, he definitely does stick the landing as far as what we've seen here. So I would say in that regard, he still has it. So it looks pretty good. I'm still kind of on the fence of if I'll see it. If I do, that's purely nostalgic or review purposes, because you know, I'm still in the weird phase of I still can't take Will Smith seriously after the incident, we'll just say, which is unfortunate because I used to be a pretty big Will Smith fan. But overall, though, pretty good trailer.
Klobby, is the slap a problem for you, or you've just never been a fan, or what did you feel about the trailer?
I guess I'm still getting used to trailers that have cursing in them. Not that I care about cursing. I'm just saying it's trailers, so you
It's
never
clearly
expect-
the Red Band trailer.
Yeah, but I'm still used to not seeing that. But not that I care. I would just say I never saw the other one, so I won't see this one.
Oh.
I will ask because I'm going. Doesn't that have the same plot as Beverly Hills Cop 3?
Kind of, yes. Well, the movies are almost like
Kill the boss gets killed.
similar.
And,
it's like a half brother of Beverly Hills Cop, because the original movies were, well, the original one was produced by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer.
oh, okay.
So there you go. There's that. And yeah, they do kind of have that kind of a vibe to them, each one almost, for that matter. So yeah, and this one's really, especially this one and the last one, have both had to do with the death of their captains. So
Okay.
yeah, you got a point there. And absolutely, it's not like they've ever really hidden it, I don't think.
Oh,
It's always kind of acted like it was like the next progression of that kind of a movie.
No, I gotcha. Just never. No,
Because when the
particular
first one
reason.
came out, I was like, holy shit, this is like Beverly Hills Cop on cocaine.
Ah.
And that
no,
made sense because Don Simpson
Yeah.
probably like infused it into the film.
sure. Never had anything against them one way or the other. Just never really went out of my way to watch them, so I haven't seen them.
I think you'd like the first one. After that, might be hit or miss, but
Yeah, I'm at the same spot with him. I think Clubby would probably find it pretty enjoyable. I mean, the humor in that first one really does land. Like, yeah, you're definitely right about some of the comparisons you made, but man, do the jokes and the chemistry between the two work in that movie. I think you'd at least enjoy it on those merits.
And especially considering the first film's plot shouldn't even work unless it was a sequel. It did. Because the basic plot line is they have a witness to a murder who is connected to Will Smith's character. But when the witness shows up at the cop shop, Will Smith's not there. So Martin Lawrence pretends to be Will Smith. So like the whole movie, they have to pretend to be each other because of the whole screw up in the beginning. And it's just a stupid joke, but it just kind of informs the rest of the film. And it's like, this type of joke should only work in a sequel. You know what I mean? When you actually know these characters already, but they do such a good job in the first like 10, 15 minutes of setting up the characters that it just works. And so that's kind of the whole plot, is if this woman who's she's actually not a call girl, but it's her first time she's working as a call girl, and she ends up witnessing a murder. And so she has to help the guys solve the murder. So yeah, it's that's the plot of the first film. So that's it.
There you go. I hear you.
The second film, same kind of thing. I think the second film was about drug running, if I remember right. Then the third film is when you actually get more plot heavy, because then you get actual other people that have shown up, and it's been like 10 years since the last one, so there's a lot of building of the family and so on and so forth. But yeah, now it's kind of got more of a Lethal Weapon vibe to it. If that
I could see
makes
that.
sense.
I could
If
see
you-
what
you
you
guys
know. It
agree
does
with
make
me,
sense.
yeah.
I
Especially
agree.
the last one had more of a Lethal Weapon vibe than the
It
first
did.
two.
It most definitely did. I
There
never
was
actually.
a-
I'm surprised I never made that connection till now. Like I should have seen that when I had seen the third one in theaters, because I'd have been a fan of Lethal
But the
Weapon
gimmick
more
is
if I
Martin
had
Lawrence
had
is
to.
this flashy, TV style like cop, and Will Smith is the flashy TV style cop, and Will Smith is the schlubby
Mhm.
husband. That's kind of the gimmick too, basically. Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and he actually has inherited wealth, so he doesn't even need to do this. So that's why they always make fun of him as like an adrenaline junkie and shit like that.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah, and then the Cyber, I think is what it's supposed to be. Prime, Cyber Prime. Am I saying that right? Says they made Gabriel Union's character lame and gay. Well,
Yeah.
That's what a waste of Gabriel Union.
right.
She used to be a cutie.
Put a ticket in and make her name it gay.
I remember. I think she was a cop in part 2. Was that the whole? The 2 or 3? I can't even remember now. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll see how the movie does. I noticed one thing about the trailer specifically, and that was that it was very Martin Lawrence heavy.
It was.
I think Will
that
Smith
was done
only
on
has like
purpose.
4 lines in the whole trailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed that too. I as I'm watching, I noticed that not only is it heavy on like his delivery, but just like in the scenes of the action, like it really feels like it's revolved around Lawrence. It's almost like they're trying to minimize Smith's part because it's clear that the stigma has not washed off.
Probably.
Yeah.
Not.
And actually, if anything, like you guys were saying, that helped this trailer. Because they may have some of the best jokes in the trailer, though. That's the problem. That's my other worry, is that we've seen the best scenes now.
If the film moves in more of a kind of lighthearted Lethal Weapon tone, that may also work in his favor, because can't take Will Smith seriously, and the film isn't really taking him seriously. It might just kind of balance that out a little bit.
Good point.
If they try and put him in a heavy dramatic scene where he's like in a serious situation.
Well, this is kind of his comeback movie or sorts, or wherever you want to look at it. So he's got to hope it does something. And then the G-Man says Bad Boys 3, aka Husky and Cuck. Oh.
Dang.
Oh,
That does sound like an 80s cop show. Husky and Cuck.
Wow.
That would be a lot of fun, actually. Just
right.
And if you can't get away with Cuck, you just call it Husky and the Simp.
That's just good too. Oh,
Husky and Simp.
oh, wow. That's a winning comment right there. Seriously.
But who's cucking the cuck? That's the question.
It is appropriate that Will Smith is the handcuffed one on the poster that we just saw.
Wow, you're taking it to that was like a next level BDSM.
Did they not realize that when they made that? Maybe we should digitally remove those. Nope, we're just gonna keep it there. It'll be fine. No one's gonna say anything. I just did.
Oh Lord, help us. Oh well, you know what's gonna help us? Some Friday the 13th, or should I say Jason? Because Tom Green sends in a very generous, or Tan Green. I'm sorry, I don't know where I got Tom. Tan Green. I was thinking of Tom Green, the actor, evidently. Sends in $10, and thank you for that. It was right before the show. Says, what Friday the 13th movie do you like best? I love parts 1 through 5. Jason X and Jason X. So fight me. That's a good question. I notice there's kind of like 2 or 3 types of Friday the 13th fans.
Mm-hmm.
I am particular. Of course, I like the original, but as far as my personal favorites, I like 6 and 7. And I kind of unabashedly like Jason Goes to Hell and Freddy versus Jason. But otherwise, they all have their ups and downs for me. Like if I had to say the worst 2 would probably be Jason X and 5, in my opinion. But what about you guys? I don't know how many of you guys are really fans. So
never been a fan of the franchise. I ashamedly saw X in theaters with people who wanted to see it, and well, I lived.
Yeah,
but
you don't really have to see the rest to see that one.
I know people. I know the series has its fans, and no, I respect that. And well, I'm curious to hear what those fans have to say about that universe per se.
I was gonna say most fans dig part 7 and 2 and 4 are also fan favorites.
Okay.
Again, it depends on the type of fan. See, it seems like there's fans that enjoy non Super Jason. There's some fans that like Super Zombie Jason. And then there's fans that really dig into the goofier shit, which is like the Jason X fans, which is a smaller subset of the groups. But yeah, the main, you have basically kind of split up between those two groups, the ones that buy into Zombie Jason and ones that don't like Zombie Jason. And 6 is the demarcation point. And I, of course, have a great interview with Tom McLaughlin, who directed it. And he deliberately talks about how, yeah, at this point, Jason's been hacked, slashed, chopped to bits. How else are you going to bring him back? Well, lightning
Reboot
like
him.
Frankenstein. Exactly. You reboot him.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of his thing. And I'm like, yeah, it works. Because then you also add this supernatural, superhuman element to him. And from there, that moment on, he'd always kind of been that unstoppable machine of sorts.
I think it's a pretty interesting idea they've come up for this new one that I heard. I'll link the info now. You guys are hearing it here first. Jason's actually going to just become an internet troll on Twitter and attack people. And for not having the right pronouns and things like that. And not
well, he wasn't much of a speaker, but we find out that he's a hell of a writer when it comes to
yes. We're going to explore the sensitive side of Jason. You better use the right pronouns or you get an axe to the face, baby.
Wow.
Instead of social justice warrior, it's social Jason warrior.
Yes. Nice.
Wow, we're killed with the jokes tonight. Killing it.
Oh. So yeah. So what's going on here? Well, did anybody else want to say anything about what their favorite Jason movies were until we get into the actual news here?
Nah.
A friend made me watch the original when it first came out. I never really watched any of them.
Yeah. Okay. So like everybody but me has not really gotten into it. So this is gonna be a short story. Even though it's the main topic.
I could try to ask my girlfriend off camera if she wants to, because she's a big horror movie fanatic.
Yeah, if she wants to throw her 2 cents on it, that's fine. But let's jump
go
to
ask
this
her.
because this is the big announcement today. This came out of fucking nowhere, but evidently this Horror Inc. company is expanding Jason into a universe. And it's funny they use the term Friday the 13th here because they technically legally can't. And that's why it's this and not Friday the 13th. And I'll get into that a little bit here. But so IGN broke this. That's the only reason I have their version up here. So the website is active now, I guess, for this thing. So I'll check that out later. But the press release says for decades, Jason shocked and thrilled audiences who kept coming back for more. We're excited to work with Victor Miller and Mark Toberf on a new project we'll announce in the coming months, said Robert Barsamian. Samian? I think that's right. President of Horror Inc. in a statement provided by IGN. Or provided to IGN. Victor Miller, of course, was the screenwriter of the original film, and he reclaimed the domestic rights in 2021. He is not a part of Horror Inc., though. Keep that in mind. But he does not have the Friday the 13th name. I don't even know if they get into that here. Barsamian is a executive producer on the upcoming A24 Peacock series that Brian Fuller just recently left. Now I'm waiting to hear some info on that, and let's just say I may even have a inside track on the script, so more on that in the future. But that being said, this Barsamian has also been VP of Horror Inc. We're focused on honoring the legacy while elevating. Oh, that's a word horror fans fucking love. Elevated horror, yeah. The fan experience and appealing. Oh, it's more appalling to today's horror audience as we develop new ways to watch, interact, and engage with Jason Universe. With a unique ability to remain at the forefront of pop culture for 44 years, Jason continues to top charts as one of the scariest villains of all time, with strong global awareness across multiple generations, thanks to billions of TikTok views, plus millions of gamers and movie fans, said Sherry Khan, global GM of Horror Inc. We can't wait to introduce Jason Universe activations to these amazing fans. Okay, so
Hey Tom,
Right.
I have her.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah, she just fill her in on a few of the blanks on this because she's a big horror fanatic. Just fill her in a few of the blanks and she'll give you a quick comment and she'll make her piece on this Jason universe. So her name is Stella, by the way.
Hello, Stella.
Hello?
Hi. Okay,
Hi.
so
Hey.
our first question was what your favorite Jason film was, or Friday the 13th film.
The first one.
Okay. Otherwise, the new announcement is that Jason is going to be expanded into a universe now, and it will be in toys and games and you name it. We have the only thing they don't mention here is a movie, but we're going to get into that as well. So he just said you were a horror fan and you might have a thing or two to say about this.
Oh, I mean, they clearly overdone Jason movies as well as everything else in the world. But universe, I'm trying to think, what would it be? They already took him to hell, right?
They took him to space.
Took him to space.
Yeah.
What, it'd just be a bunch of teenage? I don't
know. Maybe
went to
maybe they make
Canada.
a prequel. He went to
Canada?
Canada.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Maybe they make a prequel on his mom. Maybe
They called it
Mrs.
New York,
Voorhees?
but it was Canada.
Mrs. Voorhees the movie.
Yeah, or another origin story. I don't know. It's all overkill.
Didn't they reboot the reboot, and then the reboot failed harder than the original reboot? You or Tom should know. Wasn't there 2 reboots?
No, there's only one.
Was that a
Halloween.
nightmare?
Halloween.
Oh, Halloween. Yeah,
Halloween's been
yeah.
multiple rebooted like
I'm
5
mistaking
times
my reboots.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the movie's coming, obviously.
Oh yeah, movie is inevitable. It's gonna happen no matter what.
Mm.
You know what would have actually been cool, even though they don't have the rights to the characters, if they made a universe with the characters, the Freddys and the Michaels, more of those. I'd be down for that. I mean, kind of like how there's that Dynamite comic of Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. You read that, Tom, before?
I know of it, but I haven't read the actual comic. I know a lot about
Yeah,
it.
I read some of those.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fun. They're not like this, like big, like amazingly, like masterful story, but they're fun. They're a good time. You'd enjoy them.
All right. Well, so let's get into this here. We got Scribbles joining us. How you doing, Scribelight?
Hello, hello. You hear me?
Hey,
Glad to have you
Scribe.
here. Perfect timing for the Jason topic here.
Yeah,
So,
I'm waiting for Jasmine Voorhees, the whole Voorhees clan. It's going to be a bunch of little children, cocky mask wearers running around Jason Universe.
Yeah.
Every character that has ever existed in the series, they're going to find a way to spin that off into some kind of new character.
All right. Well, so basically, the funny thing about this whole thing is I didn't see them mention a movie anywhere. We do know there has been a TV show in the works for a while. There is already the video game. There's toys everywhere already. So I'm just sitting here kind of wondering what is Horror Inc. doing here, what their involvement is. They seem like they must be a licensing company. Is that kind of what I'm gathering here? Script Doctor, is that what you think too or see from this?
If they're not a licensing company, they're probably some sort of like ancillary partner. But I don't know. This is very fresh to me. I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, because
I've only heard certain drama with regards to the Camp Crystal Lake show. So
yeah, well, I can't wait to pick your brain on that too, because I'm waiting to hear more on that myself. But yeah, I wonder if this deal didn't get in the way of that, or something that's going on with that too, because one of the VPs, or Robbie Barsamian guy, was working on that show, and now all of a sudden this big announcement happens. What I see here is I think that it's just they're going to be, just pumping Jason out there, licensing the crap out of him. This might be good news for the gamer fans. Maybe they'll refire that up again, but I doubt it. I wouldn't get too excited.
The first thing I noticed from this article is how corporate it is. And
yeah,
like if they're going to make a video game, you make like a classic Ninja Turtle style video game where.
Well, I meant they already have the game that's out there that's been popular since 2017. It was an online, like
Dead by
you ever
Daylight
played
kind of
that?
thing.
Yeah, it was a Dead by Daylight kind of thing. Yeah.
There's several court cases online about Horror Inc. in regards to Friday the 13th. It's a Massachusetts corporation, Connecticut limited partnership. Yeah, it looks like it's some kind of licensing or holding company or something.
That's what I thought. So yeah, they're not going to actually
yeah.
produce anything really other than just licensing out Friday the 13th.
Yeah. And a movie, I think, would probably be too much of a risk because the budgets and everything else. And so if they keep it low.
Well, sadly, a Friday the 13th movie isn't that much of a risk, but yeah.
Well, that could be true. I don't know.
All you got to do is just get a bunch of teenagers in a forest and
multi-platform expansion of fun.
It's not that hard. But no, here's the other thing that I think is funny is I think that they are going to be pushing for that series, but I think they're going to be reimagining the series in whatever image they are of this Jason universe thing going on here. And they're going to try and, because a lot of other IPs have been doing the same exact thing. In fact, I know we kind of had a not bird's eye view of it, but kind of a birdie's, tell of it, or however you want to put it. We heard from Birdie, let's say, about what was going on over at Conan. Not that it's any real secret who we talked to over there. That's basically what they did over there too, right? They just kind of conglomerated everything and said, okay, from here on forward, we're going to control Conan on every platform, as far as whether it's, in film, television, in video games, and comic books. That way they're all uniformed, right? Like that's the whole big thing. And they're using that game of Conan as a basis for the actual, world to build from. And I think that's going to be a similar thing here, is they're going to rebuild on what the franchise was before, kind of reintroduce it to a new audience of sorts, or new generation of sorts, re-release probably. I don't know you don't even have the rights to the films. That's the other thing. So they can't really re-release anything other than maybe the game and some other ancillary things since then.
It feels like it's going to
say, yeah.
It feels like it's going to be a sort of Star Trek Kelvin universe kind of thing, where they change it just enough where they can stay away from having to run into any other issues with other people or the previous films or something. But my question is the Jason property really valuable enough, and really, do people still care? I mean, and I know the old school guys do and everything else, but I'm just talking about when they're talking.
No, it's a great question, because and that's kind of what Stella was saying too, is that the stuff's been done to death. Now, I'm not saying there aren't things you can't do, and Jason's one of those. At least in my argument would be that Jason's one of the cheapest ones, right? You don't have to worry about a Robert Englund. You don't have to worry about a bunch of other crap. Like I just said, you literally just got to get a bunch of teenagers together, go to a forest, shoot it. Cost dimes.
That's a good point, Tom. If you think about it, Jason Voorhees is like the Homer Simpson of horror movies, because Homer's like had every job in the book. Jason's done everything in the book. Like it's like, what hasn't he done? He's got a large resume, and there's still things he can do. He's pretty much like Homer. Like, look at Homer's resume. He's got all these things, and Jason's pretty much like Homer. He's always.
You just run with like the Jason Takes Manhattan thing, because they can't use Friday the 13th, so it's going to be Jason whatever. So just run with that, like run with like Jason Takes, Antarctica, and Jason Takes Norway, or whatever.
I hate to disagree with Nick. I hate to disagree with Nick Weiser, but Jason is not Homer Simpson. He's not versatile. He has one function. That's it. The only thing they can do here is try to expand on the lore and try to dramatize it in some way that turns. I kept thinking of like Bates
the problem
Motel.
with that, yeah, and the thing, and that's kind of what Brian Fuller was trying to do with that Camp Crystal Lake series, but
right.
He pulled out of that now. So script, what have you heard? I've heard very little. I'm waiting to hear back on some more about it. I might even get my hand on the scripts. Assuming you might as well. But what have you heard? Because I haven't heard a lot, other than something's going down and some shit's going to come out.
All I know is that some of the scripts that were submitted, they were being talked about around town as some amazing things. It was basically being compared to, obviously, Hannibal. How the Hannibal take from the TV series and how it related to the film franchise, and how interesting and dynamic it was going to be. The only rumors I have heard is that there are some people on the production side of things that had a different direction that they wanted to take it in, and that there's rumors that's one of the reasons why Brian Fuller departed.
That was pretty much my speculation too. Yeah. It sounds like common ground for Brian Fuller.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
I bet Brian was trying to make it too highbrow. If you try to make it too intellectual than it was what they wanted to have some slasher stuff, I bet you.
Well, I can't wait to get my hands on the scripts if I do, because my understanding from what he had presented to us initially was, and when I talked to people about it, was it was basically going to be like you guys just said, kind of in the vein of Hannibal, or more like actually Bates Motel, but it wouldn't reboot like Bates Motel did, right? Because like whatever it was, when they got to like the 4th season or whatever, Bates Motel, they just remade Psycho or whatever. They weren't going to do that. What Brian was going to do was tell stories that happened around the films,
right,
that we don't get to see. So like my guess, and now I'm speculating, okay, my guess would be, and please correct me if you know anything more script, is like the first season or 2 would probably be about like young Pamela Voorhees getting pregnant, meeting Elias, having Jason, dealing with, you know, the whole idea that he's deformed and all that kind of stuff, her working at the camp, probably ending with the drowning of Jason. And then you would pick up after the first film when she's older and dead, and you see Jason seeing his mother get killed from the other side of things. So there's a lot of time in between Friday the 13th 1 and 2 that can be picked up. And that was what I was seeing, hearing, and understanding, was it would be picking up things in between the movies that we didn't get to see, right? And fill in the gaps. So that was my understanding and speculation on it combined. I don't know if you heard anything different script, but yeah.
Nope. Other than the fact that filling in the gaps between a TV adaptation of a film franchise is something a lot of people have been trying to do for a few years. I try to do it with the Die Hard series. I wanted to do between McClane in LA, trying to figure out how to navigate LA, of course, with his partner Al. I had a buddy that wanted to do that with Lethal Weapon, but unfortunately he lost to the Fox Lethal Weapon show, which sucked. And that really ruined it. But yeah, I mean, listen, if that's going to be if that was the take, that's a pretty interesting one. It seems a little dense for at least to do the series before the first film, but I get why. Because again, if you're going through, she gets knocked up and she has the kid. It's a lot of area to cover. It'd be more simplistic if she works at the camp and her son is always there under her supervision. And
that's it too, because she does work at the camp. Yeah. And actually there's things they mentioned,
conception and the birth, because that's just, you don't need that. That's a waiting game. But
the thing with the conception
camp with the kid,
the reason the conception might be important, and this is why I brought that up, is just because in the lore and the history of it, even though Elias is the one who marries her and is his quote unquote father, that is not his real father. The speculation is that her dad is actually Jason's father, and that's why he's deformed. So there's that aspect of it they could dive into. But the other thing is you're right. Like you could even start the series where he's already born if you wanted, because she does work at the camp when this happens. And then when they try to open it subsequently between the 1950s and 1980, they had to close it down twice because the water was poisoned. And I can't remember what the other reason was. And she did it. Right. So like there's things that happened in between there that they could do that explain and kind of go through, like her trying to sabotage and stop the place from being opened and stuff like that from her perspective and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But you're right. You're 100% right. You don't necessarily have to drag all that out either. I agree with you. It's just, you could do that in between seasons, like have her end, one and then the other. I don't know. That was just the original plan. Now my guess is it's going to come out stupid because this fucking producer probably got into it with Brian, because they want this uniformed idea, is what it looks like here, is probably what got in the way of it. That's my hunch.
I like the idea of sort of a Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead concept to telling these stories and filling in the gaps. At the same time, wouldn't it get kind of goofy? I mean, given the inherent continuity issues with the film series as it is, them having to dance around every little thing, trying to keep in line to meet up and match up with the movies would get kind of weird pretty quick, wouldn't it?
Right. You're talking about current year people who in the word continuity.
I know. I'm just saying.
I was going to say, actually, his lore is not as complicated as others. Jason Goes to Hell added some complications to it.
You could probably do the first 5. I think it'd be fine.
Yeah.
5 seasons would be okay. Yeah.
Well, in Jason Goes to Hell, the only thing that added to it was it gave him a different sibling than what was in outside of canon lore. And you also had the whole idea that he might be a Deadite was added to to the game. And that actually fed into Freddy versus Jason and so on. So And that also gave you a reason, and that was whole Adam Marcus, and you can see that interview too. He flat out said that was his whole intention. In fact, that some of the stuff he got was directly from Sam Raimi's prop department, because that was the whole thing. Was the Book of the Dead is there, the knife is there, and they used the knife to kill Jason because his mother was using the Book of the Dead to try and raise him from the water, is what he says, and that's how he came to be as this fully fledged adult Jason. You know.
Cool.
That was his concept anyway. And it's in the movie. It technically is in the movie. They don't specifically say it, but the Book of the Dead's laying right there, and they use the knife to kill him at the end. So, yeah.
So we get Bruce Campbell cameo in the Jason Universe series.
Well, that's where Jason versus Freddy versus Ash came in, too.
Yeah,
Which
Bobby,
never
you said
took
you
off
read
the
some of that.
ground, but it was just unfortunate because that would have been huge on the horror side if they got that sort of.
I know, right? That would have been amazing. I wish we would have got that. But anyhow, so we'll have to see what else comes of this. I know we kind of talked a little bit more about this, and you guys, it's not your thing. So I appreciate you hanging in there for the topic. I know it's not your kind of film. So we got Shanatsky in the house.
Yeah,
Who says
so
with
good.
5.
I'm glad I was able to bring in someone to help contribute.
So I'm sick of stories which end with characters becoming said character. A Jason show should be Jason, not him becoming Jason in the last 5 minutes. Well, and Brian said he would be in the show. My guess is just the only time he wouldn't be was because they would give Mrs. Voorhees her spotlight. Because that's where, normally these filling in the gap things don't work and you don't need all this extra stuff. But you've literally got, almost 25 plus years of story you could tell with Mrs. Voorhees and jump around a bit there and stuff that she did before the first film. So, I mean, there is room to play, I guess is what I'm saying. And I'm normally not a fan of that kind of a thing. But this is kind of one of those things that I'm like, maybe, just maybe, it might work. But no, I see where you're coming from though too. And then we got Doug 1985 VA Loves Horror sitting in 499 says Never Hike Alone fan films are better than some of the actual movies. Yeah, some of those are okay. I'm not a fan. If that makes sense. Because they're not official. Sometimes they got some cool stuff in them, but sometimes they feel like fan films. And I don't want fan films to be better than actual movies. I want actual movies to be good. Like, that's the other thing. And I've seen Never Hike Alone, and I think that one's one that's actually been adopted as an official kind of thing, if I remember right. After the fact. Because there was also some fan films on some of the Blu-rays and stuff like that too. So I mean, there's a bit of a fan community. That's the thing about this franchise thing. I understand why they're doing it. It is untapped, and this is another reason why I've said I don't understand why New Line Cinema or Warner Brothers hasn't backed up a truckload of money to Robert Englund's house and said, let's go shoot 2 Nightmare on Elm Street movies for you, Croak. Because
those
he
would
could
probably
still
actually be more profitable.
Oh fuck yes.
Oh yeah.
I truly believe that. Like, even though like I'm
or
not
a trilogy,
well
and that's the beauty is
yeah,
you don't have to have him sit through the fucking makeup and shit anymore like he used to, and that's his real complaint about it. I mean, he says he may have retired the character, but I guarantee you give him a big enough check and tell him all you got to come in and do is like basically voice and face work, and then they just work it all in. Like nowadays, you don't have to worry about all the stuff you used to. Gary Tunnicliffe made a point of that, and that was his job. I'm like, aren't you worried about job security? He's like, look, I still have to be there to design the original stuff, and I'm still going to get paid for it being used. What I don't have to do then is go through 8 hours a day of makeup with the actor, and they don't have to go through that either anymore. Right? Yeah. We do it once, we get it done, and then it's all scanned into the computer. And he's not wrong. We're getting to the point with certain technologies that it's almost seamless. The way the computer can track a face and put on a mask and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, it's like, Robert, just wear some dots on your face for a couple hours, say some lines, and you sit in a chair and you're done. Yeah.
Like I said, just write it all out. Make sure you get all the shit you need of him. Because that's the beauty of it, too, is you look at the Nightmare on Elm Street films, Freddy's not in them all that much, each one. Certain ones he's in a little bit more than others. But you go through the first film, like I literally have the audio that he records, all his lines of dialogue for the first movie. It's like less than a minute or like just over a minute of stuff. Like he's barely got any lines. He's barely in the movies. Same thing with 2, 3, and 4. It isn't until you get to like Freddy versus Jason and Freddy's Dead and stuff where he's in them quite a bit. But yeah.
And one of my favorite video games of all time, Alundra, was kind of a little bit inspired by Nightmare on Elm Street, right? And it's where it's like with Jason, it's like part of me would love just a side scrolling game where Jason like just kills everything in sight, and he's got the mask on, and I'd have a lot of fun with that.
They need a game like that, yeah.
But
like the Dead by Daylight version, yeah.
But on the other hand, like a really highbrow thing, like this Alundra game I'm talking about is a Zelda clone, right? But it's also taking from that concept of something evil that invades people's dreams and kills them. And you're playing as the Zelda character, and you're going into these people's dreams trying to save them. And it's like it's a horror game, but it's a Zelda horror game, and it's just one of the best games I think of all time. Highly recommend it. But like you can have it kind of both ways. That's what I was thinking about, like Brian Fuller, and he would bring that highbrow. But then if you also bring like the classic slasher horror to it within that highbrow, you can hit a
well, and you can tell Brian was a fan by the way he was going to approach it too, I think.
Has Fuller had a series since Hannibal? Because it seems like every time he gets involved in a project, it just gets like dumped.
That Gods and Monsters or whatever it was, or what was that one that he did? Because there was one they used as the excuse that he jumped ship for STD. Because he was quote unquote too busy with that other show. Was it Gods and Monsters or something like that? Or no? What is it called?
I don't know.
Of course, Script Doctor stepped away. He'd know what it is. It's some title like that. I can't remember what the hell it was called. Somebody in the chat will get it. Yeah. American Gods.
Hannibal.
Brian.
American Gods. Yeah. Okay. Because Hannibal was so good. It was such a. I mean, it was. And honestly, when I first saw that, this is on network television. This is the most gory thing I've seen since a slasher.
And I want to see those scripts because the person who's might be able to get them for me and was talking to me about this stuff basically said they are on the level of Hannibal.
And see, isn't that just a shame that we heard the similar things about the Conan series at Amazon before Jen Salke chopped it. You get all this really great work out there, and then some nut job ideologue comes along and just says, nah. I'm curious as to what the creative conflict was with this one. Like, what direction did they want to go that Fuller wasn't, or otherwise?
I think it had more to, because this came along, like this was moving along, and this just happened recently. So
yeah,
and he'd been working on it now for almost a year. Like I remember announcing this a while back and talking about it a while back, and I've been bugging the person it was funny because I just bugged him again, like a few days or almost a week before the news dropped that Brian was out, and I kind of had an idea something was up. He didn't quite say exactly was up, so I kind of knew something was coming. And then just I've been getting tidbits of info. I want to get as much as I can, but I have a feeling that the info will get out there. Don't worry about that. Most people probably know the individual I'm talking about anyway. So that being said, we got some more super chats here. Connor Dorian, or as far as to answer your question, what is their heart on against him? I don't know. I wish I knew because the poor guy can't seem to get a show off the ground. And when he does, it's always a hit. But then they just work. Something always ends up working against him.
I mean, can you imagine like a show in that style at that level of a Hannibal, a procedural where every episode they're going into someone's dream, and it's like you could do seasons of that.
Well, you could do a whole show like a mini series of Freddy before he gets executed by the parents too, like the whole Elm Street murders and stuff. That's what and Robert could play that without makeup, actually, because Wes Craven always wanted Freddy to be an older character. He actually wanted Christopher Lee and what's his face to play him originally. I'm trying to think.
Peter Cushing,
David Warner.
David Warner was. Actually, that's right. Yeah, he actually
had makeup. Yeah,
that's right.
Done and everything. Yeah,
right. A makeup.
And it just like they said, he just couldn't. There's no way anybody that old could handle it. But Robert came in with just full of piss and vinegar.
Yeah.
And they're like, this guy, he may be too young, but I think he can play the part because he's going to be under a bunch of makeup anyway. And it was, inspired that they did because, no way anybody older than, so old is going to be able to put up with that kind of abuse on a day on, day off basis, especially when you're working with a company like New Line, where at that time they were a mini major. So they weren't like studio, like you had to hurry. They busted his ass to get him done. Like, You know, they'd shoot all his stuff in like 1 or 2 weeks, and that would be it. And that's what I'm saying is that's all you got to do now, and it'd even be more luxurious for him. Because like you guys just said, all he'd have to do is sit in a fucking chair, get a few dots on his face, and do the scenes, right? Put a glove on and do the scene. So I'm sure he'd want the glove on just for, you know, I gotta have it, you know, like
Yeah. And you wouldn't,
Put it
and
in
a lot
the
of scenes, like
character.
some of the best Freddy scenes, you could barely see him in the darkness anyway. So you just contrast that. You have a body double doing
yeah,
all
you
the
just
other
have a
action
body
stuff.
double. You
Yeah.
find guy who can stand and look just like Robert when he was younger. That's what you got to find. That's going to be the tough part is
Mhm.
finding someone who can have the same kind of movement and look as Robert. And it's
Yeah.
possible. They did a good job with Michael Myers in the newer films. That wasn't my complaints with that.
You need
The
a
movie
Freddy
sucked.
Circus. You need a Freddy Circus to be the mocap guy for Freddy.
I mean, we're getting to the point you can almost do it all complete mocap now with him.
Yeah.
And it would
Yeah.
look just fine. I mean, and this is coming from somebody who hates CGI. But anyway, we got some more super chats here. We got Connor Dorian who says, with $10, they're doing the same thing with Halloween franchise. Don Mancini is expanding his Chucky universe, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do the same thing with Nightmare on Elm Street. Well, Warner Brothers has been sitting on Nightmare on Elm Street. We're finally getting a 4K release this year of the first film, but Chucky, I don't know what's going on there. They were desperately trying to get a season 4 of the Chucky series, and I don't think they're going to get it because they fell off a cliff with their woke bullshit. And he thinks he's got another movie in him too. Maybe Universal will let him do another movie if the series fails, but I hate to say it at this point, you got to almost put a fucking fork in it.
Was that
I love
the-
Chucky, but
Was that screenshot I saw on Twitter with
Oh.
Chucky making out? Was that real?
what
or
that was, the
parody?
context of, yes, it's real.
Oh,
The
no.
context of it was that it's that character's boyfriend, the other main character in the show. He's in the doll. So at some point in that season, he must transfer his soul or get his soul transferred into the doll. So that's who it is. It's actually not Chucky. It's a Chucky doll, but it's not Chucky. Does that make sense? It doesn't really make it much better,
But, yeah, it
but
does.
and I haven't seen the third season yet. I checked out after the second season. I have it, and I was so pissed when I watched it because I was like, "What the fuck did you do?" Because the first season was actually pretty good, and I didn't mind the gay characters. They were new characters, and Chucky always has had a queer element to it, especially since Seed of Chucky and Don Mancini has been openly gay forever. Like it's never been a secret. But he's had full control of the franchise since Bride of Chucky. And honestly, since Bride of Chucky, it's been mostly miss, right? Like Bride of Chucky is good. Seed of Chucky, I can't even defend to most people. I like it just because it feels like a John Waters Chucky movie.
Yeah.
But I can understand why most people hate it. And then you get to the newer stuff like Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. A lot of people liked Curse of Chucky, as did I. But I totally understand why people didn't like Cult of Chucky. And Cult of Chucky sets up this whole series because in Cult of Chucky, the whole idea is that he can spread his soul out to multiple dolls. So he's not in just
Right.
one doll at the same time. But the catch is once he spreads himself out, that new version of him has his own experiences now. So he is his own. It's not like a hive. It's, it's a spin-off. I don't know how else to put it. Because like one of the cool things they had in the second season of the show that they fucked up was the kids actually took one of the Chuckies and they brainwashed him to be good.
A good guy.
Yeah, an actual good guy. And it was kind of funny and charming the way he was. Like, and I really pissed me off what they did with that second season because the gimmick was okay at first and then it went off the rails because they were doing each episode was obviously a parody of a movie. Like the episode where they brainwashed the bad Chucky to good was like Clockwork Orange, right?
Mm.
Well, they ended up doing a Knives Out episode with Glenn and Glenda. And for some reason in this series, they've decided to make Glenn and Glenda either played by the same actress or twins. So they're both women, but they're both like gay. And they actually have like a Knives Out episode. And the whole episode is one of the sisters is killing a bunch of people because they're being misgendered. And I'm like, Don, why did you not see the actual jokes through the fucking trees here? And you could have had fun with this because if you guys not seen Seed of Chucky, the whole gimmick at the end is they're going to have a baby, but they find out that it's the baby doesn't know if it wants to be a boy or girl. And they have twins that they can work with. So they're like, okay, we'll put one in the boy body, one in the girl body, and they'll be happy that way. What they should have done is when we were reintroduced to the characters here, They should have set it up that they fucked up and the boy wind up in the girl body and the girl wound up in the boy body, and you could have had fun with the whole trans allegory thing. But oh no, they had to make it as woke could fucking be. And that's pretty much where the show went off the fucking rails. The first episode of the season was bad enough. That episode took it completely off the rails because you literally have the girls trying to justify killing people over being misgendered.
So they're not joking about it. They're being serious.
Exactly. Like the whole thing is like, I mean, that's the thing is.
Are you saying they were playing it straight?
Yes, unfortunately. Well, because Glenn is not the killer. Glenda is, right? If you know, I know you guys probably haven't seen the films. So like Glenda's killing people all throughout the episode, and of course Glenn is trying to pick up. But it's weird calling her Glenn because she's a girl now. It's like, why didn't you just do it that way? Like I just
Glenn Close. Glenn Close is a girl's name.
Well, Glenn and Glenda, you know the whole.
I know, yeah.
Anyway, that being fucking said, I did not expect to go down a Chucky route, but anyway, I think we have Shanatsky, so thank you for that again, Shanatsky. Then Richard Curtis says, would you be up for a Nightmare on Elm Street type reboot for Friday the 13th franchise where Corey Feldman becomes a new villain? That would be interesting. I'm sure Corey would be up for it. A couple of years back, I wouldn't have been against him coming back as Tommy Jarvis in like a H2O kind of thing for Jason, but I think that time has passed. Corey is so fucking crazy now.
I thought that's what they're going to do with the Halloween franchise. I thought they were just going to like pass on the mask or the role of the shape to a different character. But
they kind of tried that in that third film, and people
they did, and then they completely reeled it back by the time you get to the end of the movie, which is just
it's because it was stupid. That's why.
Well, I think it could have been done. There was the potential there where you could say like the evil itself becomes its own entity and it enters somebody else, or it's like it's in the mask or something. It's not Michael Myers specifically. You could find a way to like pass on the torch, so to speak, without really breaking continuity.
I would agree with you if that was something that was already part of the franchise prior to that.
Yeah.
My thing is with these horror characters is they're just like Dracula, Frankenstein, and all those guys.
I know.
They don't have to change. The only one that I have an issue with is Robert Englund playing Freddy. Right.
Yeah, that's like, it's tough to do. We saw that with the reboot, and I'm not sure that they can try to do a Nightmare on Elm Street version of whatever they're doing with Friday the 13th, because I think the sourness of that reboot attempt is still floating out there. I don't know if it's
well, and that's why I said you almost have to do another couple movies with Robert just to wash that out of our systems. Yeah. And then you give the franchise a break, then you reboot it like a decade down the road. Right? Like that's because that's kind of what worked for certain horror icons, but like Dracula, he was recasted over and over and over and over and over again. You know, for a while, a lot of people had a hard time letting go of Boris Karloff as Frankenstein's monster, but eventually we got over it. You know?
Well, we also got Frank Langella for a decade as Dracula.
Oh yeah.
Or not Frank Langella, you're thinking of Christopher Lee, I think.
Christopher Lee, sorry, yes. They look identical.
Actually, it's more like 20 years closer to it, actually. But
yeah. But the other part, too, is you can't just take a break when you have an IP because you're losing money holding on to it. So you got to do something with it. Yeah. Whether there's momentum or not, you just got to do something with it. Now, we have there's a benefit is that some of these characters, especially from the Universe Monster movies, they are public domain. So anyone can do it.
The old ones are, yeah.
Like if you want to do a Dracula movie or a Frankenstein's monster film, you're free to go because there's no one can actually do anything to you if you have your own take. But when you get to more modern stuff like Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees, obviously, whoever has the rights, they got to put something out because the longer they have them, they're not making any money off of it. And as much as we, as the audience, we all love to take a break. Well, guess what? Breaks actually happen naturally because it usually is so difficult to get money to make these things. I mean, just take a look over at Disney Star Wars. It's been almost 6 years since we've had a feature film of Star Wars. That's your break, man. I mean, yeah, you got your Disney Plus stuff, but not everybody's doing that. That's your break.
Well, on Friday the 13th has had more than enough of a break. See, and there's a lot of people are like, well, like even Stella, Nick's lady said, we don't really need any more. I would disagree because those were things that Hollywood's been missing. If you're going to do a bunch of sequels and shit, I've brought this up many a time before.
It's the way to go, man.
Friday the 13th was basically the same thing for Paramount, what the Police Academy movies were for Warner Brothers. Yes, they were embarrassed to buy them, especially every time they would get to another one. Guess what? They made fucking money. And when I say they made money, I mean they made lots of fucking money because they cost nothing to make. We're talking pennies to compare to what they would gross. Because like here's the average. Like the average Friday the 13th movie costs between $2 and $4 million, and they would gross anywhere from $25 to $40 million. Okay, same fucking thing for the Police Academy movies. In fact, the first Police Academy movie made a hell of a lot of bank and cost nothing to make.
Well,
So
yeah.
that's why they found these little franchises that would just pump them out.
But here's
Friday
the
13th,
problem.
You can just keep doing it like a conveyor belt. Like
Yeah, but here's the problem. It's not a question of convincing anybody who knows the history that this IP can make money. At this point, the question is, how are they going to screw it up? Because I mean, that's what I'm waiting on tenterhooks for. And I know, you know, obviously, as you said, Friday the 13th movies, Nightmare on Elm Street movies don't cost a lot to make if you just do it like they did in the olden days and just focus on the fundamentals. They can make money. They can make a profit. I mean, Paranormal Activity movies kind of showed that for quite a while as well. But in this day and age, with somebody getting a hold of the IP, the suspense for me is not profit for them, but how are they going to try to screw it up for everybody and just turn everybody off to the franchise who might have loved it before?
It's easy because you cannot steal a lot of money on a low budget film. So what you have to do is you have to inflate the budget, which is what J.J. Abrams did for Star Trek and for Star Wars. The larger the budget you have, the more money the certain producers and other people involved can take from it so that they get their cut, knowing that if there is ever a chance that they got points on the back end through the box office, they'd at least have a nice pool of money up front to be comforted by if they didn't break even, so to speak, in distribution. But that's one of the things that's been plaguing the industry since Disney started investing in the MCU and Star Wars, is that they just kept on pumping more money into it because they had misunderstood certain financial advice about budgeting and making movies. And as a result, it's very hard to see the mid to low budget film. A Police Academy today, a Revenge of the Nerds series, a Friday the 13th series,
like
any
that,
type of low budget, low brow kind of quick turnaround comedy would be very lucrative for a studio, but it's not lucrative for some of the people that make it. And that's where you have your tug of war, because there's tons of people, myself included. I would love to write a Police Academy movie. That'd be great. it'd be hysterical. I have intimate knowledge of that franchise.
I have ideas.
I've also been to every single set location of every Police Academy movie because I lived in Toronto and they were all shot there. I know where they are. I know how to shoot these films. But the biggest question is that a lot of studios, and especially producers that would work with those studios, they are trying to actually kind of set a trail. They want a franchise. They want to be like, okay, if we do this for a low budget, we want to hit that franchise and we want to make sequels for it because it's nice, safe, comfort entertainment, so to speak, but it's also stable. It's got a minimum threshold of, we know exactly every year we release this, we're going to get this dollar amount back. That is going to eat away at whatever debt, or at least be used for collateral to invest in a higher profile film. That model, that mentality has slipped away from some of the studios, not all of them. Like, because it looks like Paramount's got a backlog of tons of those little movies.
Blumhouse has built itself on that mentality.
Blumhouse built itself. Yeah. Paramount's got a backlog of that. Whether or not they're going to pull the trigger and actually start making them is crazy. I mean, they got rid of the head recently, so maybe there'll be a chance that they do that, because they spent 2 years buying up everything. And these are independent, brand new franchises. No one's have seen yet before. They could, go for the distance if done well. I don't know anything on the Warner Brothers side yet. I've been poking around, haven't heard anything. They're really hush hush right now because they just did their recent publicity event of their showcasing of films and what they're excited to do, and so things are kind of there. Universal doesn't really have anything other than the deal with Blumhouse to do their Universal monster films.
Right.
And then Sony is going to Sony, whatever they're going to do. And then Disney is still going to just keep pulling the company line that they've been doing for the last decade or so. So you can give up on them ever making some really safe, fun movies. Like, again, I brought it up a number of times, but if you could get on Disney Plus, you can't get any more. But the Turner and Hooch by Matt Nix is exactly what makes Disney. It is
those kind of movies, what they used to do.
movie, and it was a fun, safe TV show, had heart. It actually respected the Tom Hanks character, even though they killed him off, but they only killed him off because they couldn't afford to get him, and he also didn't want to do a regular series. So they're like, if we're going to kill him off, we're going to kill him off doing something heroic. And
Does Disney still have a Touchstone type branding that they can do other types of films?
They
through
own the
anymore?
things, but they don't really do anything with it.
Yeah, because I always remember. I always remember how it was like, they do movies that wouldn't be kid friendly, family friendly, but they have this outlet where they can do other genres and
Which
things
is
and
why a
be
lot
safe
of us
with it.
scratched our head when they bought Fox, because we're like, you just sold Miramax and Dimension.
Right.
They
They
had
bought
those.
Fox for Marvel, I think. I think 100%.
Yeah, I think
X-Men.
between Star
Yeah.
Wars and Marvel, you're not wrong, Script. We were joking
Yeah.
about that back then, but I think we're at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. What has Bob done with it? Nothing.
No, you got Steve
No.
Asbell gets some jerk off who's ahead of him now over at 20th Century Studios. So like, why? And what is he able to put out? He's got Romulus, he's got Alien Romulus,
Mhm.
And apes
and he's got Apes,
and
and
the prey.
oh yeah, and then the Predator Prey series, right? So that's all he's been able to squeeze out since the acquisition, and they have a massive catalog of great stuff that they could be following up with.
Well, they killed a shit ton of productions when Disney bought them. In fact, the funny thing is half the shit that they're announcing that they're going to do, that they keep sitting there in limbo, is shit that they were already had down the line and that was almost ready to go in production in some cases before that, like the stupid McClane movie, which Disney's going to fucking do.
That's right.
Well, here's the funny part is that they, as soon as Disney bought Fox, they canceled all those, and that's exactly
what I mean.
what we're hoping for with regards to who's going to succeed Bob Iger. Whoever does has to cancel all the crap that doesn't work up that studio, because that's what happens. But it's a lot to ask for. But you're right, Tom. Like Fox had so much going on in development. They were basically a mirror version of Warner Brothers. Like if you wanted to get something out with Warner Brothers that they wouldn't do, Fox would end up doing it. If you want to pitch a crazy schlocky action, guy with
Independence Day or something like that.
And Warner Brothers said, nah, we're not into that. You could go across the street to Fox Studios and be like, yeah, we'll give this a shot. It's not going to be the budget that you get at Warner Brothers, but we'll do it. And there you go. You get it.
They took chances, and that's just it. You're right. We don't have the studios like Warner and Fox that used to take the chances like they used to.
Yeah.
And that was the thing,
3 or 4 years.
You were bringing up how, a franchise, you need to kind of do stuff with it to keep it alive. That's where they failed with Fox. Like when they bought that, they should have been gearing up for a relaunch of Fox. And that's the fucked up part too. We keep calling it Fox and they don't. And I still stand by that was their biggest fucking mistake, was allowing that name. I don't give a shit what stigma you think it has.
You have the Fox
it
and the
doesn't,
man. Yeah.
Fuck that bullshit. Like you own that shit. I'd be like, sorry, you're gonna have to change your network now to National News Network or whatever the fuck you want to call it, because it's not gonna be Fox News anymore. Sorry, because we buying that $70 billion means I get the Fox. And when you do that, he should have relaunched it with this whole big campaign, setting it aside. Like, no, we're gonna pay attention to Fox and treat it like it is still its own studio, right? We've got Disney over here doing the Disney stuff, but we're over here doing this stuff at Fox, and they didn't. There should have been this whole campaign, this whole celebration of Fox as being revigorated. We have two of the original studios together, side by side, working to pump out entertainment for you, right? And those were two of the companies, Disney and Fox, that would just pump shit out that people liked, right? Like that's all they cared about. If it was something people like, that's why we got 5 Die Hard movies. That's why we got so many X-Men movies.
Diminishing returns, but you're sure,
exactly. It doesn't fucking matter. Like,
yeah.
Script said, they took the chances. They didn't give a shit. Like Independence Day 2, fuck it, let's do it.
20 years, let's give it a shot.
Yeah,
Fuck
why
it.
not?
We should have done it 20 years ago, but we'll do it now.
And now you got Disney trying to get into more adult-oriented content. If they just put the Fox name on it, people aren't going to think of it as Disney. They're going to think of it as Fox. You can separate the two very effectively, and they're not.
I'll
because they're
never
not
call
using
it 20th Century Studios. That is the stupidest fucking name ever.
Yeah, it's also
Right.
outdated because we are no longer in the 20th century. Because remember,
No.
Fox actually made another studio called 21st Century Studios.
Yeah.
It's a subsidiary of Fox. It's technically still exists, but Disney owns it. But here's the other part too, on the marketing side of things. Disney has the mouse as the mascot. Fox didn't have a mascot. but they now
Right.
are owned by Disney. Disney just has to animate a fox, like Freddy Fox
I
or something.
agree.
Boom, there you go. And you
I
have
agree.
the fox and the mouse, and one's going to eat the other. Well, obviously the fox will eat the other, but at least you have something. Play with it, have fun with it. You don't like. This is the thing that always bothers me. In the 80s, you would have so many inventive advertisers having fun with their brand and their company, and also being a tad self-deprecating because they understand that they're making entertainment, and sometimes they'll make a story that's profound that wows audiences, but at least they have fun with it. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
There's too much seriousness in Hollywood in the
It's
wrong
true.
department. And the departments that shouldn't be serious, there's way too much seriousness there. And the departments that there's not enough seriousness there's too much.
Well, it's funny because I just posted the teaser trailer for Toys, the Robin Williams movie. Remember that from Fox?
Pops out in the grass and it's like, hey,
Yeah,
everybody.
the whole trailer is just him just riff into the fucking camera. That's all it is, and it's hilarious because it's Robin Williams. He's like, here we are in a sound studio. This is the most expensive sound studio in the world. This entire field is built inside of a studio. It's like, why can't we do this? Is what Deadpool used to do.
Well, does it feel a bit like old
Toys
Hollywood
wasn't even that
where you
great
got
of
like
a movie, but they took a chance on it.
you got Louis B. Mayer, like King of Hollywood and everything, and themselves very seriously and everything. There's just too much pride, too much ego, and then people started to loosen up a bit, and now we've gone sort of circling back to that idea with as much money and the Bob Igers and everything, and they're a prestige brand and all this, and everything's got to be ironed straight. Is it just a sort of a cycle of culture of sense of self-importance?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what I remember about Toys when it came out? Because it was Robin Williams, right?
Yeah.
And he was
And LL
family.
Cool
He was
J.
family friendly, and Toys was definitely a risk, right? So I remember going to the video store, and they had warning labels on that movie.
Yes, they did.
Because people expected Robin Williams, and they got something that was.
Well, it was a
little bit
comedy,
more-
but it was a different
Yeah.
kind of comedy. It was
It
a
was a touch dark. I mean, they have the one woman is an actual toy. She's not a real person, so that kind of threw
Yeah.
people off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie is weird, and I love the movie in a weird way. Like I know it's not a good film per se, but I like that it's just an off-kilter indie film that a studio actually gave Barry Sonnenfeld way too much money to make. That's really what it is. It's the type of movie that should have been made for like $2-3 million at most by some indie director starring some goofy off-kilter star, and it just happened to become this big studio Christmas picture, and it was one of Fox's biggest snafus ever. But the movie's never been released on Blu-ray. Disney will never acknowledge it. I mean, but now with Robin Williams, people love him. He's beloved. And I bet you if you re-released it now, I'm not saying it would, sell like hotcakes, but it would, people remember it. Like we have fond memories of it as kids.
Sure.
It's an easy profit to do it well and put it out there.
I mean, I'm not saying it's like
money.
a huge, well-known film or anything like that, but it's the type of stuff they used to do, take some chances. And if that hit big, it hit big. If it didn't, it didn't, but they had their other little films in between there to help them out with that. But speaking of trailers and such, we were talking about those just a minute ago. Connor Dorian sends in another 5. Thank you so much for the support. Says, have you seen the trailer for Wicked they released yesterday? Yes, I did.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, God.
Ay, caramba.
Guess it's about race. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one big allegory for they
Yeah.
took the plot from Wicked and decided to turn it around into The Message, of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
brilliant.
Wicked
Real
was
creative
already.
guys.
Wicked was already. Look, I don't hate Wicked, but I blame Wicked. And I'm sure most of you know where I'm going to go with this. Wicked is part of the problem. Wicked is what got us here with Maleficent and Cruella and this whole idea that every villain is some misunderstood person.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's no misunderstanding them. Okay? Like the witch is a wicked fucking bitch. She wants to kill Dorothy to get the fucking shoes. That's it. The whole movie, and Cecil is right about the Wizard of Oz. He does the greatest review of Wizard of Oz ever of all time, hands down, and stop. And he basically sums it up like this. All the Wizard of Oz is about is 2 bitches fighting over shoes.
Yeah.
It is. And they're using Dorothy the whole fucking time. So neither one of them are good. But at the end of the day, You know, the witch is the worst of the two because she's actually trying to kill her. Okay, like that's the thing.
Not a lot of
The other
not a
witch-
lot to redeem after that. After you become a murderer or
Glenda's
attempted
just
murder,
a
it's
bitch
like, yeah.
because she could have just told her in the first place. Just click your heels and say, "I want to go home," instead of sending her on this fucking voyage. It's like, anyway, no, Wicked is a fucking problem because as popular as it was when it first came out, it was one of probably the last real blockbuster musicals that you could probably point to and say, yeah, that's a blockbuster musical. And it's surprising that it's taken this long for the movie to happen. But they
Yeah.
should have took a note from Phantom of the Opera. There was a reason it took that long, and once you did, and Cats. Once you're past a
God.
certain threshold, I think you shouldn't fuck with it no more. I think it's only meant to be a Broadway play, and that's it. Because I think the proof is in the pudding between Phantom of the Menace or Phantom of the Menace.
Phantom of the Menace.
Phantom of the Opera from Joel Schumacher, that huge bomb, and fucking Cats is even a bigger bomb, right? So I think right there, you're like, look, the expiration date on those has gone, and I think Wicked, the expiration, it's gone green, y'all. Like,
Now, the Phantom of
It's,
the Opera you want is
angry.
the Robert Englund Phantom of the Opera. That's one worth watching.
that's one worth watching. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the Phantasm of the Opera? You get
Ooh,
me,
yeah. Now there's a franchise that I've been wondering what they're going to be doing.
That would
I
be
wonder
great.
if Don Coscarelli.
There's actually he's
yeah.
been working on some what is it? Not comic books. I think it's just novels
Okay.
of stories of characters from the universe.
All
So he's
right.
been yeah, somebody was just telling me about that he's still working on stuff for it. But that's one I'm surprised they didn't try to remake yet.
Coscarelli's
give
probably
him
got
time.
complete control over it and probably
He
won't let
does.
anybody else touch it. Yeah, he won't let
I
anybody touch
believe.
it.
So
Yeah.
even though the last one was pretty bad, but
Yeah, it was.
yeah. Anyway, as far as Wicked goes, it could either be the next Cats or it could be popular. We'll have to see. I'll never underestimate a musical because of women.
Ain't that the truth? Oh man, that is true. Even if it's absolutely awful.
That's why everybody's
yeah.
going, oh, the Joker 2 is going to suck and nobody's going to go see it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? There's tons of women and gay men who are going to be there on opening night, regardless.
They have
correct on
20
that.
songs in there. They have a lot of songs in it, so yeah, the people are going to be very jazzed for it.
Well, and
it
as
won't
you
have the
point-
exact same energy as a live show, but it will do really, really well.
Well, and
I
you pointed
still
it out
think Joker is
best.
going to do well.
Well, Script pointed out best. There's only one person who can usually get people to stop talking about Taylor Swift.
Lady
That's
Gaga.
Lady Gaga. And people forget. Like, that's the other thing. People are all like, I want to get it. Like, do you guys forget that she was in a movie a couple of years back that got nominated for a shit ton of fucking Oscars?
Even A Star is Born, yeah.
Yeah, the 5th remake of A Star is Born.
Well, not only that, she dominated 2008 to 2014 on the music scene.
I don't even
And then-
like her.
No,
but I
me-
will not deny that she is probably the most popular singer, artist, whatever out there alone. Top.
Well, she was
right
a
now.
lyricist for 8 years before she became Lady Gaga.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, same
Like,
kind of
she
thing with
did a
Sia,
lot of
right?
songs. Yeah. Like Taylor Swift. What was Taylor Swift? Well, she had a very wealthy family that made her career work.
Well, and it's funny because more and more often I've heard people go, "Yeah, I saw Taylor Swift back in the day at a fair when she was a kid." Like, so all these people, that's where Taylor Swift's been around forever. That's where she grew her audience. That's why. But yeah, no, Lady Gaga is a true star, and yeah, I'm not saying Taylor Swift isn't, but don't
Taylor Swift's
underestimate
not an
that
actor,
shit.
That's the difference. Like Lady Gaga proved that she could cross over to become an actor.
Yeah.
A rare occurrence. Okay,
Very
so
rare.
let's get to the big thing that I dropped today that I
Oh,
didn't even
no.
realize was going to
Drop
cause
it.
as much of a stir as it did.
Uh-oh.
Drop it.
This was sent to me, and at first I wasn't even sure if it was real because I got this sent to me first, and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh,
that
right.
real?
I saw this.
'Cause,
Yeah, I
okay,
thought it was a mock-up.
To take it back, we did. This is 2 or 3 years in the making now, right? Script.
I think so.
I remember we first brought this up because I had pitched an idea. I'm like, we need a Married with Children reunion where it's married with grandchildren. And the gimmick of the show is, since Christina Applegate has her health issues, she has a modeling career that's taking her all over the world, but she has 2 kids that Al and Peg are taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Are stuck with, and Bud
And the
still lives in the
gimmick-
basement.
And Bud still lives in the basement. And here's my gimmick: was you have the two kids that are Christina Applegate's, and one is one of the smartest fucking kids ever, like a Sheldon type. Because of course she is dumber than a box of rocks, so she would produce a really smart kid that, you know, Ed O'Neill would have a hard time keeping up with, right? And then the other gimmick of the show is that Bud has a daughter that he has custody of, and she is just like his sister, and he's got to constantly beat away men from her constantly because you know how he is. So it's kind of a play on him being a horn dog his whole life. Now he's got a daughter that he's got to protect from horn dogs like him. So like that's his gimmick in the show. But otherwise, the whole gimmick of the show was it. It was just married with grandchildren, right? I think it could have worked. You know, the next generation, and they're dealing with Peg and Al, and they're the grandparents now. I thought that would work, but now they decided to do this animated series, which I didn't think was a bad idea. Like, okay, it's a good way to keep them the same age, because I agree with that. If you're going to do certain things like that, I don't have a problem with it. But then when I'm drilling this person, I'm like, are you sure this is real? Because I know this is supposed to be coming, but I haven't heard much. David Faustino did say something about it a couple months back, that it was still coming and they were shopping it around. And I did hear that it was getting some buzz in Hollywood. But then, like a couple minutes later, I hadn't heard nothing. And then he just sends me a clip. And I dropped the clip online, and people are I cannot verify if this is real. I've been waiting for Sony to ask me to take it down.
See, when I watched it, I thought for sure I was listening to AI generated voices or something.
It might
just
be, but the
it sounds really legit.
The animation is too fucking smooth.
Exactly.
That's my
it
problem.
Looks way too good. Yeah.
And what he sent me was missing some audio too. So what I did was cut off the first half that didn't have audio. So I'm gonna play the whole version I got here on the show. Hopefully this doesn't get my challenge. We're gonna take a chance. I haven't gotten in trouble yet for Twitter.
If it does get in trouble, then you know it's legit. So
that's the thing that I don't want to strike. That's my worry is a strike. I don't care about a claim.
Signs with AI, like if it's AI animated, you should be able to tell pretty easily.
I don't think it is. I think this is legit. I'm willing to say I'm about 80% sure this is legit. In fact, when we get through this here, I think you guys will agree. It almost feels like there's spots where they're going to fill in like laugh tracks, maybe even. Because that's kind of one of the things that feels off about it too.
I mean, the alternative is that some fan animated it this well, which I think is a bit more of a stretch.
I mean,
it's a fan film.
It's using an animation model that has been used for cheap cartoon shows produced in Canada for the last decade. So you never know. It could possibly be that.
Well, the voice work is what convinced me, because I'm pretty sure that's their real voices. And David Faustino, and this is the other thing, he did say there was this reel. I'm sorry, I'm waiting for the thing to load up here. That's why it's taking so long. He did say that there was this reel out that was done. So I think this is the reel that he was talking about back in January.
Oh, so this could be like sort of maybe a stealth
pitch
Deadpool
reel
promotion kind of thing.
Well, no, yeah. So what the thing is they don't have. I think they were looking for distribution. Now, I thought I had heard that Fox picked it up, and they were going to they're going to throw it on Sunday nights, which would be cool because it would be like that's where it started. But I don't know if that's what's going to be. That's just a rumor I heard, so I can't verify that either. But anyway, fucking this thing's taking forever. Oh my god, my fucking computer's acting like a dickhole for some reason. All of a sudden, I got too much shit.
You have a Windows update this morning?
No, I just got to get rid of some shit. I got too much crap on my computer. All right, I'll play the one version here that I think I can get to, that I had on Twitter anyway. Because I just cut out the first like 30 seconds of it or whatever that were blank. They just didn't have any audio. There was the video to it, but for some reason there was like no audio. See, that's the thing. It doesn't sound like all the audio is finished yet per se, or this is like a scratch edit just before the final cut or something like that. I don't know, but
the part with the
it
audio
got leaked
gives
out
you,
evidently.
it gives you a good enough idea of what they're going for.
And it's well produced audio, so it's not. That's what I'm saying. Nothing I'm getting about this of a telltale sign. Okay, yeah, because he does talk here again. So
it's out.
The only thing is, if it was a, like,
it's
if
good
if it
to
was
be
a
back.
fan film.
I mean, part of me hopes it is because I don't like the look of it, to be honest.
They moved to Florida. It looks like
it's
California.
very
I
safe,
think it is.
right?
Or was it Florida?
Well, I saw a marlin on the back wall and everything.
It's
I thought
dump
maybe it was
water.
Florida.
Is there a dump? I don't know. Whatever.
Like I spent the last couple days watching episodes of Married with Children, and it's aged like a fine wine. It's just
Oh,
like
show's
Al
still
talking
so
about how men
great.
used to be men, and it's just like it's
Oh, it's so
perfect
good.
for today, right? I didn't
Mhm.
get that vibe from this trailer, and it's like if it is a fan trailer, then they wouldn't necessarily have to hold back. But the trailer does feel like it's playing it safe.
That's
It's
what I
not quite,
mean.
you know.
Yeah, there's okay. Here I found the full clip here that doesn't have all the audio with it. So okay, so like for the first 20 or so seconds it was sent to me, it didn't have any audio at all. Then it kicks on. So I don't know what they're saying here.
That's a freaky smile.
Yeah, that's the other thing some people were saying is the home of the.
Yeah.
What did that say? The home of the.
Something lawsuit.
Yeah. Mesothelioma.
Mesothelioma
Wow.
That looks like Florida, yeah, because of the palm trees.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks more like
Yeah.
Florida to me, especially with the marlin on the back
And
wall.
isn't there a dump water, Florida? or
So,
something like
okay,
that?
let's just pretend scenario. If this was a thing that
You'll cut in, so yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
I don't believe the
I think
Bundys have that much stuff on the top of the
Yeah.
Actually, that's all right, probably. I mean, that's the thing is, and David said that they could do things they couldn't normally do, like say the F word and stuff like that, So I think they're still trying to do it for a streaming service, more or less, was what they were thinking of. But if Fox picked it up, good for them. But
Well, the two
yeah, I
things
don't
they
know.
really
So-
wanted to do, but they couldn't, was swear and show nudity. That's the two things that I've heard from the veteran writers way back when I was starting out. It's like if they could have gotten away with like a pair of bare breasts on Fox Network, they would have loved it because there'd be so many jokes.
sure.
they would
Yeah.
do.
Well,
Well,
Like
and
they had
yes,
nipple jokes for Al to make fun of for certain character. I'm like, really? All right, cool.
No, Tom or Script, do you guys know why there's audiences that laugh and clap and cheer and all that? Do you know the why into that?
so that the television audience at home knows when to laugh.
There's a setup to that, to what gets them to act that way as reactionary as they do. So I know someone who got to attend one of the showings of this show, and what happens is when you attend, they booze you up. So by the time the show gets rolling, you're feeling pretty damn good. And when something funny happened, well, you're laughing your face off because, well, you're most likely shithoused.
You're also cheering and
clapping.
wooing, which they really wanted a lot.
Yes, a lot of that comes from they booze their audience up. So you learned something new today, folks.
I know.
That explains a lot of the ooh.
Yeah.
And when men get excited for like Kelly, I asked him, I was like, what was it like for scenes for when Kelly Bundy showed it? He said, oh, it was as loud as you can imagine. So yeah, he said that is as real as it gets.
Like I usually hate laugh tracks, and sometimes I just don't watch shows because I hate them so much. But I've noticed that coming back to this show was like it is actually a live audience. It's not canned laughter.
Well, there was a bunch of shows that were filmed in front of live audiences there for a while. Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
I checked into it
Cheers
as
was
like
one.
they were particular about it with Married with Children, right? Like it is
Yeah.
actually the audience. They filmed it live. It feels live.
Oh yeah,
Because
they
it
wanted to
doesn't,
film
you
it
know-
just like All in the Family. That's why they
Yeah.
formatted it that way. Really, the last TV show I can think of that had a live audience, but they cheated, was How I Met Your Mother, because what they would end up doing is they'd bring a live audience to watch essentially a movie of the show, so that they could sync up the laugh track. Because
It's
they
not
used to
the
do
same.
cutaways and stuff, and the cutaways worked conjunction with the audience laughter, so you can't really do anything of that. So what they ended up doing is they would shoot the show with a smaller audience for the basics, and this would usually be friends and family to do their laugh temp, cut it together, they then put it into another theater, and then they bring a whole bunch of people for free to come in and watch the show, and they record their laugh audio track, and then they mix it and then broadcast it a few weeks later.
There
Yeah,
was a
it
lot of
ster- it
shows where
sterilizes it.
even if they did shoot it in front of a live audience, they still had to sweeten the laughter and do other things too when
I
they did
can't
editing.
stand that.
Oh,
Because
they
there was an
mixed in
actual
natural
guy. Yeah, there was a guy in the industry. I can't remember his name, but he actually invented this machine that they used for years that he would come in and do all the laugh tracks for the shows. I mean, they would have still the original tracks on there, but he would basically just bump it up, beef it up, or if they had to do reshoots and they didn't have an audience there, obviously stuff like that. But like, yeah, it's just it was kind of just a thing that was like a comfort blanket for the audience, basically.
A little bit, but one of the things they usually do is, and I learned this when I was talking to the, oh crap, what's her name? She was one of the showrunners for Friends, one of the three. I keep forgetting her name, but what they would do is they'd have isolated mics specifically for the audience, and every time someone would blow a take, you'd always get a louder laugh track from them than if the take was successful. And all they do is they just take that laugh track and they just put it where it's supposed to be when the actor didn't screw up, because that way you get an honest laugh. It doesn't look like canned laughter, because canned laughter, you can tell there's always there's something soft about it, where real laughter has got big, it's loud, it's boisterous, and it tapers off quite appropriately. But especially in the late 90s, they had to actually cut the laughter in some cases because they were, tight for time with their 22-minute limit for the broadcast. So sometimes you'd get heavy laughter, and then sometimes you see a new camera angle, and then you get this weird artificial tail off, because that's a completely different take, 20 or 30 minutes after the audience died down, so they could nail it all.
I remember noticing that.
And that's what they do. They listen to the audio, to the audience laughter, and they pick up the loudest laughs, and then they lay them over where they should have been in the first place, especially if it's like a first take. So if it's a first take, they hear the joke for the first time and they have that huge laugh. They hold that laugh, and then when they get through the scene, they put it in post. They also sell those laugh tracks to other shows. So The Big Bang Theory kind of was, but wasn't really filmed in front of a live studio audience. And their laughter was all mostly artificial.
I mean,
even on Two and a Half Men, same thing.
The furthest I even personally accept was what you mentioned about taking the first take laugh and putting it on the second take. But even that would bother me. Like just because I went back to watch the show the last couple of days. There's something, it's like going to see a live band, right? Like they're on set and there's so much chemistry between that cast, and it's happening right in front of the people. It's there, and they're a part of, the audience is in front of them while they're doing it. It's real, and there's this kind of energy that you can't possibly capture if you show it to an audience later.
Well,
and if you take a laugh, the laugh is never going to match what happened on the set, because that laugh, if it's from a second take or from a different show, it's not reacting to what actually happened in that moment, right? It's wrong somehow. I don't know.
Well, and that's what I was saying. They still sweetened them, whether you I was trying to find the machine. I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was just like this. It was kind of like an earlier version of what would basically be like a soundboard.
Mhm.
And it had just bunches of different laughters loaded up to it, and he could enhance and sweeten the laugh track as needed throughout. And I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Charles Douglas from what I just looked up here. I think that's who it was. But I just wanted to play this quick because we're going to be losing script anyhow. We're going to be wrapping it up before too long anyhow. But this is what Dave had to say earlier this last year. This is what I was referring to.
We're actually gearing up to do an animated version of Married with Children, which would be animated. And part of the reason of that is because you can get away with a lot more humor in animation than you can with actual humans talking for some reason. And we already shot a 3-minute presentation with the drawings and the characters, and we're all four of us, the cast, voicing the characters. And it's very funny. I didn't think it was going to be that funny at first, but when I saw it, it really made me laugh. And it's even more, we can get away with more because we can curse and we can say, fuck and all those good words.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We're very excited to see that.
Yeah, so it looks like it's about to sell, but we'll see. They're taking it out now. There's a lot of interest, and we're pretty excited about it. But you'll be hearing more about it in the next few months, I think.
Okay, so this was back in December of last year that this was recorded.
Okay.
So, and again, that kind of lines up with what he's saying. If I got my hands on this now, I wouldn't be surprised. If has Sony done their upfronts yet? Or I think they're just doing them. Maybe this is going to.
Haven't done them already.
I say this might drop in the next. Maybe that's why they're not coming after me. I don't know. they might drop it themselves here officially in the next day or so. I don't know if it is official yet. I still can't confirm that one way or the other. So, but we do know what's happening. So that part is true. And like I said, I do know I did hear that there was some interest in it. And the rumor I heard was that Fox picked it up. So the actual network Fox. So yeah. That being said, Script Doctor, you said you had to take off on us?
Scribe did.
Or Scribe did? Oh, okay. I thought Script. I read it wrong. Oh, it
No,
is.
we were easily confused. So it's fine.
Well, I just read it real quick. It's SC name.
I know. It's the curse of the SCs. Yeah, so I got to take off, but thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem,
And,
man. Anytime you're available, you know it.
See you, man.
Yep.
Take
Nice
care,
talking
man.
to you guys.
Have a
Yep,
good
have a
one,
good day, guys.
Have a
Take
good
care,
night.
man.
Go
All right, we got
grab that.
Jeremy Winfield, who's been here for 11 months and also sends in a $2 super chat and says membership renewal on stream. Epic. Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Jeremy. We appreciate that. And we had a member stream this the other day. Hopefully you can join us for the next one. What were you going to say, sir? Say, Nick? Sorry.
Oh, I'll just tell people to go subscribe to Scribe Light.
Yes, please do.
I plugged his channel for him. So
there you go.
Yeah.
What? Oh, that's the Gerber baby. I thought that was Brahma Bull for a second there. It took me like, what? No, that's all I had today, guys. That's think
all
it.
she
Was there
wrote?
anything else? Well, unless I missed
That's all
something. Did I
she
miss
wrote, I
something?
guess. I
We
think
are
you
getting
sent it
Gay
out to
Planet.
What?
Oh, you guys
Like
didn't see
Captain
that?
Planet?
No. Okay. I guess I got to show you guys this shit now. And believe you me, it's gay.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
NBC Universal Peacock is launching a
yeah,
new
I saw
series
that.
about gay transgender animals, queer planet.
Well, hold on. You can't have
Animals.
a transgender animal because who's going to do the operation? You might as well just kill him for meat.
Okay, let's watch this 45 seconds.
Paparazzi really are everywhere.
Everything you were taught as a kid is wrong.
You make me wanna dance. Gay penguins, bisexual lions, sex-changing clownfish.
This is a queer planet.
Queerness
They're
has always
embellishing.
existed. It's only in humans that we have such a stigma about it.
The idea of just having two fixed sexes is clearly out of style.
Mother Nature is pretty open-minded. Sex is not just for reproduction.
It's clear that no matter where you look on our planet, nature is
This
full
is
of queer
propaganda of
surprises.
the highest order.
To be honest,
You can't make
we should
this
all
shit
probably
up.
Get laid a little more than we do.
I mean, actually, they are making a lot of this shit up. But I mean,
Well, no, that's the thing. You actually can make this up because that's
that's what I
that
mean.
this
Yeah,
is
like, I mean, you can't make up that they're actually doing this show. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Well, and people believe it, but yes, we have to see it to believe it. See, all they're doing is they're just exaggerating the situations that occur in nature and trying to give it a framework that this is how it is universally, but it's not. Like the idea of like two penguins mating for light, if they happen to be the same thing, they do. That's true. Clownfish, yes, they change. Frogs even change their gender in order to populate to build up a population, but it's always a binary nature to propagate the species. And the other time it's just vicious.
The paparazzi really are everywhere.
Yeah, this is
I don't even know why that did that. That was weird. It just kind of took off on its own.
Such is the nature of this type of ideology, right?
I guess so. There's a ghost in the machine. I don't know if we heard everything you got to say there, though, Script. I think it interrupted some of what you said. At least I didn't get to hear you.
Well, I mean, the basic premise is yes, clownfish do have that stigma with their life. It was pointed out when Finding Nemo came out way back when. Penguins mating for life, that's well known and well documented. And yes, there has been situations where male on male penguins and female on female penguins have mated for life because that's just what they do. It's not like they went out there and think, oh yeah, they knew offhand that they're doing it this way because of certain sexual preferences or whatnot. It was just happens. It's no way to confirm. Frogs, they can change their gender to propagate the species if there's not enough females around.
But again,
And,
you're talking about natural occurrences in nature, and they're trying to obfuscate and compare that to people getting their ding dong chopped off.
exactly. Like lions, they will screw anything. But then you also have the opposite effect where when a female lion is in heat, they will try and mate with their lion for like 24 times a day.
Right. And
if
a dog will hump
it's-
anything too. So, like, what's your fucking point? Like, yeah.
Exactly. So yes, they're showing an instinctual nature with urges and also desires being conflated with the fact that sometimes these occur in diverse population settings. It's not as widespread as they will, of course, amp it up to be.
No, the stupid part is if they'd really step back and look at what they're doing, is all they're doing is proving that it's abnormalities.
Yeah, and they're trying to,
It's like-
again, they're not even having fun with the fact that they are. Like National Geographic did a whole thing on this where they said these are abnormalities, but these things happen, and they're not to be considered weird. They're just part of the nature. But when we go over to 30 miles away to this colony of these animals, oh crap, none of that stuff is there. Why? Well, because they have more people. They have more of them there, and they don't need to resort to this stuff.
Exactly.
And one of the things that they're saying is
Kinda like
this
being in
one tribe is
prison.
gonna probably this one tribe is probably going to migrate over there and either devour or integrate them into there, so that they're no longer going to do that or what have you. Who knows? But you're right. There's a prison analogy to it. When all you got is
or on a
limited
desert
selection of
island or
people,
whatever. Yeah.
you make a compromise.
Selection is part of the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
You can somehow be convinced to chop your dong off. Well, that's natural selection.
Yeah, good luck getting a lion to like walk into a gender affirming care center to say I'm a lion.
No,
Yeah.
male lions are lazy as fuck.
They do their one hunt and then they're done for the year.
They're like, oh, I gotta fuck you
boy.
again.
And then if another male lion, maybe their child or someone else, comes back as an adult, they have to fight to the death. And
It's
not
a
kidding,
hard
that's what
life.
happens. the male lions are actually excommunicated from their tribe once they get of age pretty quickly.
He
You have to go
knows.
find a new pride.
He has no pride. But
Clown
he's just
world.
a kitty.
Clown world indeed.
He thinks he's a panther, but he's Kunta Kinte.
Kidding.
All right, kids, let's get the hell out of here. Cece, what you got going on? Are we going to do karaoke this week or next week, maybe, or sometime soon?
I'm getting pretty close to being able to do things. I'm saying the 24th or the 31st, but I can't confirm which of the two yet.
Okay. So soon. Cool.
Yes.
So check out CC Karaoke. You hit a milestone not too long ago, didn't you? I thought
I
I
did.
saw.
I hit 300,000 a few days ago.
Congratulations. Good deal. Indeed. So check that out. And Script Doctor, you got a Patreon and a channel yourself?
Yes, I do. And I think I'm going to be on Price of Reason's channel later today to talk some Quantum Leap. So go check us out over there when that drops. And
Indeed. Yes, he was unable to make it tonight, but yes, I believe he will be having a show in just a little bit. Clobby, what you got going on? Or did you have anything else to plug? Sorry, Script.
No, that's
your
all.
scripts on Saturdays as well.
Scripts on Saturdays, yes, and yeah, we're even doing one over the holiday weekend, but it's going to be a premiere, a pre-recorded show, because of course we want people to enjoy the holidays. But if you have nothing to do, or if you want to take a break from all the celebration, swing on by, watch the premiere, or catch up with the episodes.
Is it Labor Day this weekend already? Or is that not?
No, it's May 24th. It's Victoria Day or Memorial
Oh,
Day.
it's one of your guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
And
yeah.
I say
I'm sorry.
Clobby or Nick, whoever's next. Whoever wants to go next.
Nick, you go next.
All right. Yeah, Comic Shop Talk tomorrow night. We'll continue our Lee Ramita run of Spider-Man. D-Bud Martin, who's a wrench on here, will be a part of that as well. The next 3 weeks of Toxic Tuesday are going to be all 3 Punisher movies. So we're going to start off long, hard, and strong with Dolph Lundgren next week. And of course, I hope to have some videos out next week. I was hoping this week. That's not going to work out, but next week for sure. So yeah, and of course I'll be on TNT. So if you're a TNT watcher, watch TNT. If you're someone who watches Price of Reasons show or the Clubhouse, stick with your destinations. But yeah, it's been a fun show to be here, and thanks for having me as always. Cheers, and thanks for being here, chat.
Excellent. Kalabi, what you got going on?
Well, I've got, of course, the clubhouse tonight. Thank you, Nick, for that. And back at you. Let's see. Number one, Raquel and Mark D will be joining me tonight. We'll have our Blake 7 episode review, our Kolchak the Night Stalker episode review, and a Star Trek comic episode review, and much more geekiness. And of course, tomorrow night on my good buddy J Man's channel, continuing our reviews of Fantastic Four, the Jack Kirby run 102 through 101, number 1 through 102, I should say, in the first 6 annuals. And then, of course, Saturday Night Star Trek with Raquel again, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for the season finale of our Voyager season 6, the last two episodes of that. So, and
all right, we'll
appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And we'll send our audience over to your show, which looks like it's going to be starting momentarily. So head on over there, guys.
At 9 Central.
Oh, it says 8:05 p.m. here on my end, so you might want to change that.
Oops.
Yeah. You got it set to start here in just a few minutes. Or it actually should have been started already.
Weird.
According to this, what I'm reading right now.
Well, I'm showing 9.
Is it? Scheduled May 16th, 2024, 8:05 p.m. That's what it says here.
Let me go look at my end. Someone's end's got the right end.
Let's see. But I appreciate that.
Or is it already almost 9 o'clock your time?
That says 52
No, he's on
minutes
Central.
24 seconds.
Weird.
Yeah.
No, it shows
Okay,
9
well-
o'clock on my time.
All right, maybe I don't know, weird. But I'll send the guys over there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll see you guys on the morning show. And this Sunday, I'm going to be talking to that damn idealistic fool crusader. If you don't know who he is, check out his channel. I'm going to be having him on Sunday morning. So we'll be talking about Warner Brothers Disc Rot, probably the new Once Upon a Time 4K Blu-ray. It'll kind of be a special edition of 4K for you. I might have some other panelists with me as well. So join me there. That'll be Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Otherwise, I'll be at all my other normal places. So see you there and take care of yourselves and each other. And
Night,
Sadie's
everybody.
telling me it's time to go.
It's a combination of Dirty Dozen, Seven Samurai, and Star Wars